Hlelo sanibona nonke nani bomana nje awuhlamba ke kamuna ndikaza kuyamiswa nje kusiyatshela nje uyabona. Thank you very much indeed. As we have heard that Umkhonto Wesizwe is growing, and it is one of the bigger political parties in the country. And it is indeed there to change the situation of our country that those who were given that chance to do have failed to do. As you know, we have a deputy president whom we put in a very serious area to lead those of our people who are in parliament. A very serious and well-known comrade, lawyer by profession, not just a lawyer, not a small lawyer, no, Mary or serious, okwazi ukugweba zonke izinto noma sekuthiwa ziqhamuka lapha. Niyamazi ke nani ngoba insizwe ekhulumayo. Simnikeze umsebenzi wakhe ukuthi abe deputy president abese a leader eparliament. But given the task and the growth of our organization, we want him now to concentrate mainly in parliament and deal with parliamentary issues and laws and legal things or whatever. He can't do that and also be at the office, the main office. We have therefore added, as we have said, another leader who's going to be with us all the time. Partly also, by the way, because the current president of Umkhonto Wesizwe, I'm sure you all know, maybe there's not a single one here with my age. Is there? And therefore, we are strengthening our work of our party because we are looking forward. We are not looking other side of the mountain. We look at the mountain which we are going to take and lead this country. It's a serious matter. We have decided to have one of our cadres who have been with for years. His name, Likoshi. That comrade of ours who's going to join us in the leadership, the top leadership, is Tony Ngeni. Yini ukukhona bangashaya izandla la. Bakhona bangashaya izandla la. Thank you. Tony Ngeni is a cadre of many years. He's a cadre who took a decision to leave the country as a young man, to go and prepare himself to fight, to free the black South Africans in South Africa. Indeed, he did everything that was supposed to be done, and he added the political education, and he has remained a very solid leader, solid cadre. Just to tell you one little thing, when one of our leaders who was sent to Lesotho in a very, very, very difficult way, how to move from outside South Africa into the intestine of it, to be part of Lesotho. Chris Hani was sent there to lead the operations from there. When he was taken away, we sat and took a decision to send this young man to go and take the place that was held by that leader that I've just mentioned, Chris Hani. And he operated from Lesotho and finally penetrated the country into the Cape Town and operated there. So we are talking about the man who knows what to liberate is. This is now one of our Deputy Secretary General of Umkhonto weSizwe. Ozonikhulula nonke noma ningafuni. So nikhulula. Khulula kanjani?
Deputy President.
The Secretary General. Ungakwenza nalokho masimnike. Uyakwazi ukwenza konke la ayikho into angakwazi ukuyenza. The only thing angakayenzi ukuba president. Kodwa konke okunye Deputy President ushona ezansi uSecretary, Deputy Secretary yini angakayenza. In any case, that is the man who is now going to be working with us all, also helping me. When I met him when I was also not young but older than him, but I've been Gijima. But manje sengilindele ukubona ukuthi akhona namaqhawe akwazi ukubhala iqiniso.
Yeah.
Huh? Bavete bavuma omnye phela. Abanye ababhali. So I just thought I should mention this because here is a man who's going to be working with me in the leadership of this party. We come from very far with him. I trust him as I trust many cadres that I fought with, that I worked with, that I did everything. Mawufuna ukwazi-ke manithanda indawo ngizosondela kimi nomuntu ayithola. Ngeke ngisho manje. Siyazwana? Nizwe kahle? Okay. Kulungile. Fana kithi. Kodwa wena uphethe.
Thank you, President. Welcome, Comrade Tony Ngeni, Second Deputy President of Umkhonto weSizwe Party. I'm going to call upon Comrade, in this case, no. I'm going to call upon yourselves to then ask us questions. The comrades that are sitting up front here. Of course. Okay. Second Deputy President is going to give us a brief statement. No questions to him. That's where I was going. Second Deputy President.
Comrade President Jacob Elisha Zuma, the leadership of Mkondo Wesizwe, dear comrades, members of Mkondo Wesizwe here present, and dear members of the Fourth Estate. I am going to make a very brief statement, and the caption of my statement is my brief journey with President Zuma. The problems of this country are primarily that of leadership. We have leaders who love themselves more than they love their people and country.
Yes.
But Comrade Jacob Zuma is different. He still stays in his rural village in Kadla, where he originates from. Throughout his adult life, through struggle and sacrifice, he has demonstrated his undying love for his people and country. He has now decided, even at his advanced age, not to retire, but to continue the struggle for social and economic freedom and prosperity of his people until the last of his days. His vision and wisdom continues to shape the nature and content of the current political struggle and contestation in our country today. That vision inspires millions of South Africans to rise and take full responsibility for their own lives, for their own freedom and prosperity. Let me take you back to January 1977. I was a young man then, crossing the border into Lesotho with my brother Norman, who, as you may know, later in life retired as a general in the South African National Defence Force. We were stepping into exile, into uncertainty, into a life of struggle. South Africa was burning after the Soweto uprising of 1976. The regime was brutal. Thousands of young people were leaving the country, determined to join Mkondo Wesizwe, the People's Liberation Army. It was there in Maseru that I first met Comrade Chris Hani, a giant and titan of our struggle. Comrade Chris commanded me to stay and assist with the political education of the avalanche of young comrades crossing the border. And so, even before I picked up an AK-47 rifle, I was tasked to be a political instructor, to prepare our youth to understand why we are engaged in struggle and what kind of society we wanted to build. In 1978, I left for Angola for military training. When I graduated from the regular course in guerrilla warfare in 1979, I took my oath in front of President Oliver Tambo himself. President Tambo gave our detachment the singular honor of naming it the Isandlwana Detachment. Our detachment was named after that great battle where our forefathers and warriors fought bravely with only spears and shields to defeat a British garrison using superior weapons. Exactly 100 years before, in 1879. In that same year, OR declared the year 1979 the year of the spear in honor of those Isandlwana warriors and many other martyrs that had made the supreme sacrifice during our liberation struggle. Thereafter, I, together with other comrades, were chosen to undergo a commander's course. That commander's course was carried out by Soviet instructors from the Red Army. After completion, I was sent to Moscow to the Lenin School. This was an international ideological school with cadres from all continents in the world. It was there that my political and ideological consciousness was sharpened and deepened. Just before graduation, Comrade Chris and Comrade Slovo came to see us at the Lenin School. They told me that I was not going back to Angola. From Moscow, I was to be deployed in Lesotho. The apartheid regime had threatened the then Lesotho Prime Minister, Liaboa Jonathan, with invasion unless Chris was removed from Lesotho. Chris was removed from Lesotho by the ANC and redeployed to Mozambique, and I was sent to Maseru to continue with his work. I became the SACP regional convener and became part of the ANC political and military command. It was in Lesotho that I came to work closely with Comrade Jacob Zuma. In December 1982, the South African Defence Force launched a bloody raid on Maseru. 42 people, our comrades, including Lesotho citizens, were slaughtered in cold blood. The world would come to know it as the Maseru Massacre. The United Nations condemned it, but for us and the bereaved families, it was extremely traumatic, emotional, and personal. After the massacre, President Tambo sent Comrade Zuma to Maseru. His task was to help us organize the mass burial and manage the difficult political environment. I watched him work calm, methodical. It was Zuma who ran the operation for the sudden electrifying appearance of OR on that very morning of that burial. Of course, the masses went wild seeing their beloved leader, OR, in person after such a long time in exile. Imagine the courage it took to bring OR into a war zone like that, and then just as suddenly spirited him out and have him appear safely in Lusaka that very night. That is Zuma. Quiet, resourceful, reliable, trustworthy. From that time onwards, Comrade Zuma was often deployed to Lesotho by OR and the Revolutionary Council. His job was to manage the sensitive relations between the ANC and the Lesotho government. And so from those days in the Mountain Kingdom, through tragedy and resistance, he and I forged a bond that would carry us into the democratic era. Then in Parliament, I served as Chief Whip of the ANC. Comrade Zuma was Deputy President and leader of government business. And Comrade Freni Chinwala was Speaker. May her soul rest in peace. Every Monday morning, the three of us met in the Speaker's office to coordinate our parliamentary program. Different times, different arena, same comradeship. History has its trials. The so-called arms deal was one of them. Both of us were dragged into it. We're the only two senior leaders charged. I was convicted in the so-called card discount case, which was politically motivated and thoroughly shameful in the manner it was handled. They even sent me to prison. Guess who came to Mamasbury prison to visit me? Comrade Jacob Zuma. Deputy President of the ANC, that solidarity cut very deep. Later, they went after Zuma himself, charging him with the arms deal, a case that has been hanging over his head for more than 2 decades. Justice delayed is justice denied. The fact that that trial drags on today is a serious travesty of justice. And it shows how the justice system can be manipulated and abused. By 2007, at the much talked about Bulugwane conference, Comrade Zuma was contesting for the presidency of the ANC. I was proudly leading from the front in support of Msholozi. That conference was not about politics only. It was about ensuring that the ANC remains the champion of the aspirations of the poorest of the poor. Msholozi won that conference hands down. He did not buy that conference. That conference and its outcomes was an open expression of the democratic will of the vast majority of ANC delegates. Fast forward, when the Concord decided to throw Comrade Zuma to prison without a trial, I was one of those outraged thousands of the masses that descended upon Inkatha to declare our contempt, our indignation, and rejection for that Concord verdict, and our overwhelming unrelenting support and solidarity with Comrade Zuma. Even when Msholozi later formed Umkhonto weSizwe, our bond endured. When the ANC took disciplinary action against him, Msholozi called upon me to represent him before the DC. I readily agreed. In moments of crisis, a true leader turns to those he trusts most. Till today, I remain a regular visitor. Till today, I remain a regular visitor to his homestead, God. We sit together, we deliberate, we debate the crisis our country is facing, searching for ways to resolve them. The bond we forged in exile, in Angola, in Moscow, in Lesotho, in Parliament, in prison, continues to this day. That bond was forged in the crucible of struggle. We have shared in victories and endured humiliations. We have been tested by fire. We have been through the eye of the needle. From time immemorial, outstanding individuals have and do contribute in the making of history. And those outstanding personalities have to be acknowledged and celebrated during their lifetime. Yet to be truly great, leaders must at all times assert the primacy, pledge their loyalty, and serve the organized will of the masses of our people. This struggle for social and economic emancipation, led by MK and other black political organizations, is not about me or yourself, or anyone for that matter. It is about the heart and soul of the land of our ancestors and its people, the People's Republic of South Africa. Glory and dignity, the glory and dignity of South Africa and its people, and among other nations, must and will be restored. South Africa and its people must and will be free. Amandla.